C.O.I.L class of insightful learning letter lesson R only, or we can double in with RS. So lesson R and S in the same 10-minute file without even editing two different 5-minute files together. So we're going to merge R and S together because the first part is about you don't have to plan to be prepared. Remember that slightly schism moment I had in 2018, if those OGs remember, where I had a lot of advice and wisdom about things that I still believe to this day, even on a spiritual lens. Things like that. So like you have to plan to be prepared, and we're going to merge that idea with S letter, which is the idea that you never know what you don't know, which again was a little bit of a, well, that came before that year. It was like 2017. So that's a 2017 idea that came before I got into my shizzle moments, and it was like its own thing. We have enough space to last for 10 minutes, and I literally dissolved another lot of space on my phone. Not gonna explain why I dissolved. Not gonna say the least about that, but yeah, we have this for other OGs who remember. This is indeed the cowboy aesthetic from Die Wimpy Kid. Not gonna toot my home about that, but this I meant to do like gaps like this, but for a while I meant to be like, oh, there's one more. Also, if I want to try out, which never means it'll end anyways. I always have like different outfits to wear, fashion design, when we want to be or not. But yeah, but so combining those two R and S together, we have now a merger, which for its own topic will now mean you don't have to know even the beautiful things to be well equipped in the best possible light. So, but we can address this one by one anyway. So so what does you have to plan to be prepared mean? There are people who think that you have to already always have a plan for at least most of the things in your life. This is not necessarily the case. I think even from my story and situation, it's like I already had things that I didn't expect to happen, that I didn't allow to be too much far in the wind. But you never want to only be that or the opposite, which is not any better. Being either far in the wind or a fish that pushed too hard in the current, river currents in the bed. You want to avoid the rocks in the river if you have to, because if you see a rock in the river as a fish, of course wade out of the way and swim away from the current. Wade into the direction that avoids the rock. But if there's nothing ahead of you, as in bad context, don't force too much in your own control what to do next. Like just allow it to flow before it can go. That even applies with money, particularly. Money and love, all that other stuff. But you want to be someone who knows that if there's literally nothing, like even in terms of the absence of bad misfortune, the absence of misfortune, if you have nothing bad ahead of you, don't force too much to improve situations that have nothing wrong with them to begin with. Like, this is a weird way to describe if any book don't fix it. I made a script about that before, where don't let it be a problem if it is a solution. Stuff like that. But that's at least with having to not plan to be prepared. When you come across being planned and having a strategy, because strategies and plans are somehow different, according to marketeers. But I looked into that when I was trying to be a business administrator, but a little different. Business marketeer, it's different. A marketing manager, all that other stuff. Even crowdfunding for that matter. But I did any of that or not. But it's very peculiar to know that not every plan allows you to be prepared to begin with. And so, what does that mean specifically, without being too abstract? You know, the very cliche fable, the tortoise and the hare, where you literally just have to take your time. This is what I consider to be a lot enough conceded with other fables, like the frog and the toad in the well. That's a bit about nihilism. But for this case, we're going to talking about this in terms of slow-paced cultivation. And this is where I get into that comic from Red Rover where I mentioned that slow-paced cultivation isn't about taking your time so much than it is realizing that you are where you need to be right now, Jane Ripper style. And Jane Ripper is a real certain figure in the past. It's not someone I just brought out of the blue. I just didn't research her enough. But I used her quote throughout 2017, coincidentally enough, throughout the times I made these quotes and these lessons. And they're just I applied lessons in my life for a long time before I even knew what they meant, and even when I really knew what they meant. But as with the tortoise and the hare, you notice that these things are not going to be easy regardless of how well prepared you are in the first place. But not all that preparation comes from planning in the beginning with. Like, if you just know that you're going to just take your time, it doesn't have to be the only way you do it, but if you just know that you're going to be okay with yourself, where you are, where you're planted right here, right now, that's all that matters in that moment. We're going to push past 5 minutes because we're doing this as a double. But yeah, I just had to have my chest for, like, you don't have to be planning. You don't have to plan to be prepared. at least as far as that. So now we're getting into the you don't never know what you don't know. In this, one of my friends, my intellectual friends and colleagues, I guess, he described this as being a bit of a scholarly approach and a way to live life. But I never really knew what he meant by me either being a little too consumptive or not. He never said that about me, but he was very friendly with me, even though he knew a lot himself. But like, he didn't have to be too much of a smartass anyways. But he wasn't really trying to be. So when he heard me say things like that, he said that was a scholarly approach, and I believe him. I know he meant well at his age. I think he was 23. I was like 20 or something, 21. I think I was like 21. He was 23, or I was 20. He was 23, and he had a lot of information he delved into with comic books and TV shows and film. So he knew what was up his alley even at that point in his life. I'm not gonna hold that against him though, because he was so trying to help me at the end of the day. It was all good, truly, even then. So, but he did say that that was a scholarly approach, and I believed him. The idea of not knowing what you don't know, because I even explained this to a guy in the jacuzzi. He was like a hot bath. We were literally in the gym. It was like this one guy showed up, and within 5 minutes of this meeting the stranger, I managed to make a good impression on him without even pushing too hard. Like literally the art not forced by Alan Watts style. I managed to press him by telling him about how if trainers in a business facility don't have to know everything about what they're doing, they can still try to improve their skills and their knowledge and wisdom, solely based on the fact that they actually at least know that there's something room for improvement regardless of what they do in their facility. Even if they're experts at what they do, there's always room for improvement because they never know what they don't know. And that impressed the hell out of him. And it was like, wow. Literally the things that come out of my mouth sometimes, go either for the better or worse, but ultimately for the better, honestly. The things that come out of my mouth, like the way my dad will tell me, the various things I'll say, the things that I'll even say that even sound true, they're at the heart for sure. Like they're not like things you can just throw far in the wind for sure, even if they seem like they're lazy or lazily spoken. But there's nothing lazy about the art of that stuff, the design and the craft and the integrity of being that wise without meaning to actually know anything about your life in the first place. You're not supposed to. You never would. But that's the beautiful thing about it. So, what do I really mean when I say you never know what you don't know? I'm allowing an opportunity to be able to explore your surrounding area without worrying about what the correct answer is. There are times where I had the correct answer / diamond slipper in my life without air quoting that, where I had the right answer, and I still explored other ideas and pathways. And why did I do that? I could have easily made do with what I already had right, however long or short it took to get those things in my life. Why would I still do that? Why would I still look for other answers in my life, even if I already had what I was supposed to work in the first place, if even the only way to do it? And that's just the way I choose to live. There is literally an episode, there's an episode of a regular show called Blind Trust, and an episode of Miraculous Ladybug called Simple Man. And both of these blow my mind. It's like, literally like Simple Man and Blind Trust, easily one of my favorite like cartoon episodes in like the last decade or two. Like in Simple Man, there's a villain against Ladybug Cat Noir that literally simplifies the whole world around them, and the mentalities of everyone around him become simpler and oversimplified. And the key here is that even oversimplification can be just as bad as overcomplication, because oversimplification is going to be its own complication. But the idea is that even though life can be complicated and hard at times, there's a way to resolve it in more sturdy structural ways that you can still treat like a puzzle and still have fun doing it. With blind trust, it's more like the case that even though you don't want to leave your hands and your lives in the hands of people who may or may not deserve it, you can still trust people regardless of whether you knew them or not. And if you did know them, how well do you know them when you know that you can trust them with things that not even you can confirm or even they? And between Regular Show and Marcus Ladybug, this is just a strict example of my own standard or whatever, of what it's like to actually legitimately trust what you know and be confident in what you know. That's a big one. Being confident in what you know. Objective, subjective, or otherwise. It doesn't have to be anything like that, but ego or divine, you name it. But truly being confident in what you know without surrendering too much to the things you think you have to know. You can still explain your surrounding realm, not use logical targeting like I described before in shorts, logically targeting things for the wrong reasons, so in other words, making sure you're logical enough when you have to be, having a plan when you need to. And this comes full circle with having to not need a plan to be prepared and never know what you don't know. Take care, guys. This has been C.O.I.L, Class of Insightful Learning, episodes, lesson letters R to S. Take care, everyone. Let's wait on the Mario Prize while if we can. Take care.